So in all of the 9 episodes we've seen of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen so far, in terms of the animation, I think this episode had the highest quality, surpassing the Mechamaru vs Mahito fight, which I also thought was really good. Even disregarding the animation for a second, episode 9 in general was just one of the best episodes in the entire series due to the content that actually happens. You know, we get a sick-ass fight with Gojo and the Disaster Curses, Mahito joining the fray with all the transferred humans, Gojo doing a 0.2-second domain expansion, the truth behind Fate Geto revealed, and then of course, Satoru Gojo getting sealed in Shibuya. As always, this isn't gonna be a full in-depth breakdown of the episode because I feel like I would just be repeating the narrations that, you know, you've already heard from the episode already, right? So instead, these type of videos are just my quick and brief thoughts on more of the animation department rather than talking about what happened in the story itself, because you know and saw what happened, right? Anyways, this actually starts with the extra content from the volume 10 pages in the manga. It's when the students are asked a question, what is Satoru Gojo to you? And 2 things. 1, very nasty setup how Mappa put this in the beginning of the episode, saying Gojo is the strongest, but also knowing what happens at the end of the episode. Yeah, a nice rearrangement there. I also like how they did this in a VHS style approach. It gives this scene more nostalgic old school vibes. Again, they're trying to play tricks on us and mess with our feelings, but it's also the same style as the season's ending, so I think this was likely done by Shotoko Shizono, at least I assume so. Nonetheless, the fight begins with Gojo taunting Hanami, and if there's one nitpick that I had to give, only one because the rest of this episode was amazing, it would probably be the crowd animation. It wasn't completely lifeless throughout the entire episode, especially when Mahito joined, but you know, there are definitely some still crowds and paneling, which I guess a part of that is also because this season just generally had to find some ways to cut through some corners given the limited known production schedule. So every frame is not going to show the crowd moving, and like I said earlier, that's totally fine. It's not a major thing to complain about. And then when Gojo approaches the curses, we get this nice short walk cycle animation. The pillars in the back I think are 3D, but then as Gojo begins walking, the ground itself is 2D drawn, and 2D background animation is always a pleasure to see. They take a lot of time to animate as well. And then Jogo tries to attack Gojo. I know, the names are very similar, but it's drawn with like loose smears and added wind effects, something that's been very apparent in season 2's new style. I like the angle shot here when Gojo had a hold on Jogo. It's almost like his face and body gets enlarged, taking 70% of the entire frame, while Jogo's face is miniatured and is getting pressured by Gojo's back. More smear animation from Hanami, and then when Gojo kicks Hanami, she gets sent flying across the crowds into another station platform. Same thing with Jogo, which I don't believe was shown in the manga. This is likely an added sequence from the anime, and at this point, I don't think it should be surprising. Being a manga reader, every fight has gotten extended scenes, and this one was really funny. I just laughed the first time I saw Jogo getting thrown across the opposite side because he looks back at the ground 2 times just to highlight his reaction on being so close to the surface. It's little character animation and details like that where it can really make a scene a lot better. Now, I'll admit, I'm not so much of an animation guru, but there's something about these 2 shots right here that makes it oddly appealing for some reason. Like Gojo and Jogo's movements here feel very natural, or they move very natural. I don't know if it's rotoscoping, I don't think it is, but hey, if you're a Sakuga pro, then please let me know in the comments. That being said, the next 20 seconds after this had some amazing fluid animation. The moment when Hanami deactivated her domain amplification and then started using her curse technique, Gojo approaches her, weaves around the branches, and then brutally pulls Hanami's eyes out. What I like about that entire scene, it was just always moving. Gojo, Hanami, the branches, it's character animation on top of the action. Very similar to Keiichiro Watanabe's style. To my surprise, he wasn't even listed being a part of this episode. And then we get to Chozo's blood manipulation, which I want to talk about for a second because in the weekly domain podcast on No Operator's channel, we talked about how there might be a concern turn on Chozo's blood attacks being censored, or censored to a specific degree at least, because in the last episode, his blood attack didn't really hit any of the crowds, whereas in the manga, it was shown to behead some people, right? So we were wondering if that was still gonna be added in episode 9, or if it was gonna be something that Mappa had to subdue because maybe it was too violent. But gladly, this episode proved the former. It does indeed show blood manipulation, piercing through some heads and going through bodies, splattering a lot of blood. Then we get to the domain amplification part. This was just badass. I liked how it showed domain amplification messing with the light. I don't think that was something you would notice in the manga, but Gojo killing Hanami and turning her into mashed potatoes on the wall, really strong drawings overall, and it was kind of sad to see Jogo. He wanted to help Hanami by trying to get Gojo's attention, saying to look over his way and then, start turning on his curse technique. But the more he saw Gojo destroying Hanami against the wall, the more Jogo realized that, oh man, she's gonna die. And then he just subtly turns off his curse technique completely. Like I said earlier, the lights flickering and turning back on after the domain amplification was a nice extra touch to this scene, something you wouldn't pick up from the manga. After that, it shows us the villain's plan on the process of sealing Gojo in the prison realm. This section was rearranged from the manga, and it was really funny how fake Geto just casually says you need to keep Gojo in a 4-meter radius for 1 minute after the prison realm is open. At first, Jogo's immediate response is like, the fuck you just say? And then after that, they all continue to calmly play Mahjong or whatever Japanese board game this is, until 20 seconds later, when Jogo sees the number 1 rolled on a dice, it reminds him about keeping Gojo within range for 1 minute. He gets so angry at how fake Geto can just casually give an impossible task like that as if it was super easy, because keeping Gojo in range for 1 minute, any villain hearing that without fake Geto giving the later context, they would be so mad the same way as Jogo was. The anime did this scene justice because they extended that casual board game playing, so it has an extended awkwardness to it, which, like I said earlier, was really funny. Something I want to point out too is the soundtracks. I really like the soundtracks they used in this episode. Some of them we've heard before, like when Mahito and Chozo did that double attack. The music was very suspenseful, especially when you're seeing a bunch of people dying with all the blood splattering out. It's the same music that played during the Geto versus Toji fight in episode 4. I also like the music after Gojo killed Hanami. So when Jogo was running away from Gojo, it played this creepy piano theme, kind of getting me on the edge of my seat, but that's a track that I don't think we've heard before. And lastly, the music that was playing when Gojo got sealed, or when he allegedly saw his best friend standing before him and all the memories of Geto started flowing to his brain. Oh my god, that was done so well. The music made it even more emotional and impactful. I'm sure some of you guys were tearing up when that happened because it was just beautiful. This was easily my favorite part of the entire episode. Second favorite part was the 0.2 second domain expansion. Goodness gracious, Mappa killed this scene. Literally my jaw dropped just watching Gojo being the Flash and very quickly taking the heads of all the transferred humans while running through the large crowd. I swear this played out for almost 2 minutes. It was way longer than I expected, and for the better. Even if there was some ghosting and a bit of dimming, it's definitely not as much compared to the previous episodes, and I don't think it was as obvious since the scene itself is just so crazy quick and distracting. Gojo was going all out here. Last thing I want to talk about is the fake Geto reveal. This was super hype, especially when fake Geto was like, how did you know I'm not Geto? He saying that alongside disgustingly opening his brain. Perfect. Just perfect. I was a bit surprised to see the brain and its juicer blood being white, but looking at it a second time, it does sort of match with the creepy tone of this reveal, because even the background of this entire scene, it's glaringly white, kind of similar to the end of episode 4 when Gojo and Geto came to the Star Religious Group people, and the entire room, the atmosphere, the believers, it was also creepingly white. The zoomed in fisheye shot of fake Geto as he explained his curse technique, it just adds on to the eerie and sinister tone that this villain resonates with. By the way, if you've been sticking around the channel and you're a manga reader, then yeah, I'm obviously not going to say the villain's name because it hasn't been revealed yet in the anime, so for now I'm just saying fake Geto. Thus, the episode epically ends with Earpiece Mechamaru saying Gojo got sealed. His robot voice plus the camera zooming in on a dark train tunnel. Ooh, what an ending. I was getting scared myself, but yeah, no, amazing episode. The direction and animation was superb. Like I said in the beginning, wouldn't say it was flawless. There were minor issues that this episode had, but other than that, I think it arguably stood out as the best looking episode of season 2 so far, and animation aside, one of the best episodes of the series in general. If you're an anime only, then yeah, be prepared because this is really the starting mark of the crazy Shibuya incident arc. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you agree or disagree or have anything else to say regarding the contents of this video. As with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.